Well, hello there and good evening. You are tuned in to the quarter hour with Sid Yiddish. It is week 15 of the show, and it's here. If you're in the Chicago area here, it is rainy and stormy, and I don't know if it's going to go on all night or not, but it's definitely moving further and further south as we go along. Um, but anyway, I'm Sid Yiddish, your most humble host, and we are um, we are going directly into the show. But I want to give some shout outs first. Um, as we know, according to the National Day calendar, and today is National Forget Me Not Day. Means don't forget anybody. It's also National Vanilla Cupcake Day, and it is the United States Marine Corps' birthday. Now, tomorrow is Veterans Day, so remember, honor the veterans, honor those who have served this country well. Now, this is not going to get political, but and I guess speaking of politics, let's hope that presidential election gets sorted out relatively soon. Anyway, um, let's get us right into the meat and potatoes of the show, and we'll start off with a little bit of poetry. And I'm going to read a couple of poems from a manuscript I'm working on. And this first one is called Final Composition. 4 years and a half is a pretty long time to serve. The value of the prelude to the crescendo, to all the little half steps in between. When you conduct, you look crazy up on the screen, so it is written and what is said. When you're composing, you're also decomposing, deleting all those future opportunities that'll never be credited to the correct composer. Stolen moments is what I am used to. No one wants to take chances on me that you have. No one is brave enough to be brave like you have. No one operates like a secret squirrel, barely giving up their nuts, just their fruits of labor, their food for thought, their energy, their homeopathy, their barrel of monkeys in a single song that won't be heard on any hit parade in the middle of a pandemic. The elements, the electromagnetism, the storm before the calm, the persistence instead of the fallen. There is no fakery in the eternal musical bakery. Ovens humming with rising beats when diminished desires become demeaning, demonic, demonstrative, depressing. I won't ever expect that of you. Just give me one more time, one last note, one last minuet. I know you have it in you, from now until forever. And that was called Final Composition, and this is the next one I would like to read to you. And this one is called this one's called Mixtape. When I cry myself to sleep, I still can't sleep, and another piece of trouble falls directly into my radar. And it's a job left undone, a future uncertain, facing it by myself without the answer I'll never believe. Because is not a but, and it sure feels like that. Considering the injunction I slapped on the conjunction beside an already established habit of destruction and destroying the roadblock in the way has not been a breeze. The feeling that I'm left with while I'm still living this life, reeling from the pain of a sudden death moment, unprepared and unlucky. hit by an invisible thought that I dared not to embrace, and instead emptied the empty bottle on the counter by drinking in as much as I could. It doesn't make sense, I know, but someday it could. Nothing in the state of being begs to entail the disengagement, the disillusionment, and the disintegration I have started to unpack and unpeel from the blackness inside of me in seconds becomes a part of me. And that was called Mixtape, and that was written pretty recently. Okay, so we move on next to the next poet, and of course, the next poet is none other than Dina Stewart, and Dina lives in the Chicago area. And this is a poem, I think it's untitled, but um, I believe it's untitled. I'm sure she'll correct me if I'm mistaken. So it goes like this. Autumn is drowning under 6 days of drizzle. I wanted to play outside, but the clouds shouted, "No!" before I could ask their permission. I walk through polluted puddles while the wind claws through my skin, wraps round my bones. A crimson leaf struggles to stay on a branch above me. Losing the battle, it flutters past my face and falls gently into a muddy gutter. The unrelenting drip drop rainfall steeps my steps, soaks my breath. Autumn is drowning under 6 days of drizzle. Okay, and now we move right along. We move to let's see here. So we move along to Eileen Weiner. She is a poet, songwriter, comedian in her own right, and out of Los Angeles, actually Hollywood, my mistake. And this first poem, I'll read you a couple of them. This is called One Bright Spot. Don't let him rent space in your head, she said. Why not? Can't there be one bright spot, sandwiched in between the growing disappointment in my physique and fear of a freak accident to set the ball rolling inexplorably downhill so that my will to live succumbs, well, before the rest of me? One bright spot crammed in a corner, free of derision, one place I don't question every decision. And this poem, each hesitation, the merry myriad roads not taken, how patience might have changed things, or forbearance, whether I should continue to strive or just keep up the appearance, alone again this Valentine's Day, not even a cat to nibble at me, should I decay, but I refuse to give it up, my one bright spot. And this is a poem called Polka Dots. I guess spots and polka dots, they seem to go along. Polka Dotty had their 16th birthday party. Twins they were and would always be, but one was a he and one was a she. Polka Dot, where will you go when you grow up and live alone? Polka Dotty, will you marry and wheel your tots in a baby carriage? For a while he sat and thought. I'll go to sea, said Polka Dot. I'll travel around the whole wide world and find myself a hula girl. We'll live on fish and coconuts by the ocean's side in a little grass hut. And Polka Dotty, what about you? Will you go exploring too? No, said she. I've quite decided to stay in the pattern and not override it. That very material was picked by the Queen, and her portrait now hangs in a famous museum. And again, that was One Bright Spot and Polka Dots by Eileen Weiner of Hollywood. And would like to move along to the next person and next poet, I meant. And let's see, and that, oh yes, of course. It is Mykel Board, who is a columnist, haiku writer, author, elder statesman in the New York punk scene of the 80s and 90s. And so these are haikus of his, and there'll be 4 tonight, so I'll read them twice, as seems to be some kind of tradition with that. So, coughing on Park Avenue, I hawk my loogies at Mercedes and Lexus. Coughing on Park Avenue, I hawk my loogies at Mercedes and Lexus. Group therapy, I explain my problem, the shrink rolls his eyes. Group therapy, I explain my problem, the shrink rolls his eyes. Mask on, shirt off, ripped. Mask on, shirt off, ripped. Pleasuring myself, the Fitbit racks up another mile. Pleasuring myself, the Fitbit racks up another mile. Good old Mykel Board, always a great haiku writer that he is. All right. Now, before we get to the last living poet of the night, I'm going to read some poems from Emily Dickinson, from the collected poems of Emily Dickinson. And as again, she didn't really have titles. And instead, she had Roman numerals, so I'll read them that way. And this one is XLI. Like men and women, shadows walk upon the hills today, with here and there a mighty bow, or trailing courtesy to neighbors doubtless of their own, not quickened to perceive minuter landscape as ourselves and burrows where we live. This is XLII. The butterfly obtains but little sympathy, though favorably mentioned in etymology, because he travels freely and wears a proper coat. The circumspect are certain that he is dissolute. Had he the homely suction of modest industry, he were fitter certifying for immortality. And this is called XLIII. Beauty crowds me till I die, beauty, mercy, have on me, but if I expire today, let it be in the sight of thee. And this one is called XLIV. We spy the forest and the hills, the tents to nature show, mistake the outside for the inn, and mention what we saw. Could commentators on the sign of nature's caravan obtain admission as a child some Wednesday afternoon? And this is the last one of Emily Dickinson, and this is titled XLV. I never told the buried gold upon the hill that lies. I saw the sun, his plunder done, crouch low to guard his prize. He stood as near as stood you here, a pace had been between. Did but a snake bisect the brake, my life had forfeit been. That was a wondrous booty. I hope 'twas honest gained. Those were the finest ingots that ever kissed the spade. Okay, and that's again from the collected poems of Emily Dickinson. Oops, there we go, right there. And So, last but not least, my favorite poet, um, I think so. His favorite poet is a good friend of mine, my old buddy Wes Heine. And this is from his book, uh, Sugar Skull Poems Flash Fiction. And so this first one is called Like the Grapes of Wrath. I've seen them, like the grapes of wrath, picking vegetables in the fields, picking metal in alleys, brown faces, white shirts, working lawns, working 10 times harder for a fraction of the pay. I've seen them celebrating the 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, louder and bigger than the rest, like they mean it. I've seen them sing together, work together. They can fix a car themselves, stick to a budget, eat for less, and all the things us spoiled children have forgotten. And this poem, this one's called Cleaning Out a Storage Unit. The sun is warm, though so far away. I love the days because of the night, a miracle. And this last one, this one is called Harvest Day. Every Wednesday is Harvest Day on our block. After fighting through traffic in the overpopulated streets, parking by my building gets scarce on Wednesday because the garbage cans are out on the curb taking up the spots. Once the sun goes down, I can hear it, the squeak of the grocery cart wheels, my recycle bin being opened, and the bottles collected for a scrap. Clink, clink, smash! Sometimes the glass and cans wake me. I get up and look out the window. I see the street lights glow on the huddled flesh, or the police lights down the block strobe that sick glow on the walls. It's harvest time. I think of all the bottles of beer from the week before that have helped me get over my hard work and help me live with myself as I pay for this room. Toasts of joy and hits of sorrow, to feel something or feel nothing at all. Yet this is the best feeling, knowing that I'm giving something back, even if it's just recycling bottles for a few bucks per pound. Now, some shadow person can get a meal, or just as likely more bottles, or some powder stronger than what I know. I've I've been a bum. I've played guitar on the corner for change. I've slept in warehouses and on scaffoldings in the rain. But that was a long time ago. Now I work in an office where no one has any idea who I was then. Sure, I live in a cheap room just above the curb, but I play the game to stay in it. And I no longer need to bother to recycle my own bottles for change anymore. I can just let them go to the army in LA who rules the streets. Every Wednesday is Harvest Day on our block. And that was, again, that was from Sugar Skull Poems, Flash Fiction by Wes Heine. A great poet, really, and a great storyteller in his own right. Okay, so now I get a feeling that this might be a little bit shorter than I thought, but this is it's storybook time, so this is kind of a okay. I did this wrong. So, here in the Chicago area, it's been stormy for a good part of the night, and it is kind of stormy out there. And I feel in some ways we got cheated out of Halloween. Well, I mean, it was a pandemic this year, of course, but not what we can do. So, since it is a spooky night kind of out there, I thought I'd read this book. And this book is brought to you by the free libraries in your neighborhoods, which means you see all these like wooden boxes or whatever, and you just pull out these books. It's great. It's absolutely great. It's where I get all my storybooks. But this is a book called Loose Tooth. It's by Stephen Kroll, and it's illustrated by Trisha Tusa. And there they are. You can see the book right there. And there's supposed to be bats there. Those are supposed to be bats. So it goes a little bit like this. Fangs and Flapper were twins. Everything they did together. There they go. There we go. There we are. When Fangs soared through the night sky, Flapper soared after him. When Flapper read, Fangs read too. And when the other bats played flying football, Fangs and Flapper always joined them. Wow, check it out. Look at that. Bats playing football. I guess it's like the Bears every Sunday, I suppose, right? Well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't watch football, but not much. But I'm a Packers fan. Anyway, one day in the middle of reading class, Fangs discovered he had a loose tooth. He felt the tooth with his tongue. It was very wiggly. After class, Fangs showed Flapper. Then he showed his friends. Wow, said Lizzie Lizard. The tooth's going to fall out any minute. You'll get lots of money from the tooth fairy when it does, said Henry Hawk. Flapper felt around in his own mouth. He wanted to have a loose tooth like Fangs, but he didn't have one. So there they are in class, as you can see. And there he is kind of wiggling that tooth around. At recess, all the other animals crowded around Fangs and his loose tooth. Fangs was delighted. Every time someone came up to look, he did a loop-the-loop around the schoolyard. There it is. That night at dinner, the tooth was looser. Be careful how you bite, dear, said Mom. You don't want to swallow it, Fangs, said Dad. I got 100 on my spelling test, said Flapper, but no one paid attention. They were all too busy looking at Fangs. Fangs bit down on a piece of bread. Suddenly his tooth popped out of his mouth and landed in his soup. Fangs was frantic. Where is it? He shouted. I can't see it. It's got to be in there somewhere, said Mom. They all flapped around the bowl. Dad stuck in a claw and pulled out the tooth. Hooray! Shouted Fangs. Hooray! Shouted Dad. The tooth fairy comes tonight, says Mom. I bet she's ugly, said Flapper. But no one ever heard him. But no one even heard him. So there he is. The soup. Poor Flapper. Poor Flapper. After several family swoops around the neighborhood, it was time for bed. Remember, the tooth fairy only comes when you're asleep, said Dad. I'm going to sleep right now, said Fangs. So there they are. They're flying around the neighborhood. And there he is talking to Dad. He put the tooth on the ledge beside him. He went to sleep, smiling. Nearby, Flapper hung frowning in the dark. Fangs has been getting all the attention, he thought, and I'm sick of it. I'm going to steal that stupid tooth. Quietly, he flew over to Fangs. Carefully, he slipped the tooth off the ledge. Then he glided down gently to the ground. Now where could he hide that tooth? He didn't even have pockets. He flew to the kitchen. That's a pretty sneaky bat there, you know. Pretty sneaky. Doesn't sound good now, does it? Okay. Mom was already there. She was mixing the batter for some muffins. Flapper was so surprised to see her, he dropped the tooth. Plop! It fell into the batter. Flapper didn't know what to do. He hit on the ceiling. Oh boy, he's in deep trouble. He's really in deep trouble. What do you think's going to happen? There we go. Mom was so busy working, she hadn't noticed a thing. She finished mixing the batter and popped the muffins into the oven. Oh no, thought Flapper, the tooth's in a muffin. Mom waited until the muffins were done. Then she flew back to her corner of the cave. So Check it out. This is a bat making a muffin. I mean, whoops, it's right there. She is making a bats making muffins. I've heard of everything. Of course, Batman probably makes muffins too, right? When Flapper was sure she wouldn't hear him, he glided back to his spot, but he couldn't sleep. Much later, he heard the flappings of wings near Fang's, followed by some grumbling. It must have been the Tooth Fairy, he thought, as he finally dozed off. In the morning, Flapper was stretching his wings when he heard Fang screech, "The Tooth Fairy took my tooth and didn't leave me any money." Flapper shrugged. So there they are. They're grumbling in that old cave there. And boy, Fangs is really pissed off, you know. I guess I would be too. Tooth Fairy didn't leave me any money. At breakfast, everyone was confused. "I'm sure the Tooth Fairy came," said Mom. "She probably couldn't find the tooth." "But I left it for her," said Fangs. "Maybe it fell on the ground," said Dad. "It didn't," said Fangs. I looked. Flapper was much too worried to say anything. He tried 2 muffins. No tooth. Any minute, somebody would. "Ouch!" said Mom. She pulled a piece of muffin out of her mouth. In it was the missing tooth. So there they are. There's Flapper and Fangs. And there is Mom. "My tooth," said Fangs. "Goodness," said Mom. "How did it get in the muffins?" asked Dad. Flapper wiggled his wings nervously. Everyone looked at him. He knew he had to tell the truth. It's not good to lie. When Flapper had told the whole story, Dad said, "Fangs, I'm giving you the quarter the Tooth Fairy would have left, but Flapper, I'm giving you a quarter too. We shouldn't have ignored you." Flapper looked at Fangs. Fangs looked at Flapper. "You know what?" said Flapper. "What?" said Fangs. "My tooth feels loose." "It does?" said Fangs. "How terrific. Let's go show our friends." So, I don't know how that happens, but I guess it happens. There they are. And the 2 of them flew off together. So there they are. They're flying off together. And that, my friends, is the end of the story. And it's also the end of the program. So I'm glad for all of you, those of you who tuned in, who stuck around to the end. Yes, Mr. Gautier, I'm certain you love bat muffins. I mean, who doesn't like bat muffins? And it's the end of the program for the night. But I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll definitely see you next week. And remember, tomorrow is Veterans Day, so remember, salute that veteran. The guy or the lady, or could it be your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, aunt, uncle, who was in the service. Just salute them, shake their hand, hug them, just tell them even how great a job they did. So no, Dave, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a couple more weeks for that. I'm gonna wait another week for that one. Anyway, so I want to say to you, if you're in the evening like me, and like the most of us are here in the great Midwest and the East Coast, I want to say have a great evening to you. And if you're in the afternoon, which is technically 5:36, that's still afternoon. If you're on the West Coast, good afternoon to you. And if you're in the morning, like they are right now in Denmark, it just turned 12:30 there. And also, I believe it's morning in Germany and Scotland and England and Australia too, I believe. I want to say good morning to you. And until we meet again, have yourself a great night and a great day or great afternoon, wherever you are. And I will see you next week. Bye for now.